The alarm screamed through the corridors of Deep Space Station, Omega-7. Admiral Zethkar dropped his morning nutrition cube and rushed to the command center. 6 legs carried his tall, thin body faster than most creatures could run. The Velthani were known across the galaxy for their speed and their careful nature. Today, both would be tested. "Report," he barked at the sensor operator, a young equerry named Bluenth. The blue-skinned female's gills fluttered with nervousness as she pointed at the massive display screen. "Sir, the deep space probes have found something. System Sol 3, Outer Rim Sector. There's a new species there. They call themselves humans." "Admiral." Zethkar studied the data flowing across the screen. Numbers, images, and readings from a world that was 26,000 light-years away. The information made his blood run cold. "These creatures," he said slowly, "they are predators." The command center fell silent. In the 50,000 years since the Galactic Council had been formed, they had never encountered a spacefaring predator species. Every intelligent race in the galaxy had evolved from prey animals. The Volthani came from tree-dwelling creatures that hid from hunters. The equerry had been small fish that swam in schools for protection. Even the mighty Krayler had once been herd animals on their home plains. But these humans were different. The data showed they had forward-facing eyes, a sure sign of a hunting species. Their teeth included sharp canines for tearing meat. Their hands ended in hard nails that could be used as claws. Everything about them screamed danger. "Show me their world," the Admiral ordered. The screen changed to display images of Earth taken by the hidden probe. What they saw made several officers step back in fear. The planet's surface was covered with signs of industry and conflict. Massive cities sprawled across continents. Roads cut through forests like scars. The atmosphere showed traces of pollution and radiation. "They have nuclear weapons," whispered Dr. Kenth, the station's chief scientist. "Ain't the elderly." Luminar's crystal body flickered with distress colors. "Look at these readings from their weapons tests. They have enough firepower to destroy their entire world several times over. They fight each other," added Bluenth, her voice shaking. "Our probes detected over 200 separate conflicts happening on their planet right now. They war against their own species." Admiral Zethkar felt a chill run through his body. A species that fought constantly, even against itself, was beyond his understanding. The Velthani had not known war for over 10,000 years. Most Council species had given up violence long ago in favor of cooperation and peaceful trade. "Sir," called out Lieutenant Vex from the communications station, "I'm picking up transmissions from the edge of their system. They have space vessels. Out there." The main screen split to show a view of an asteroid field near the humans' outer planets. 2 small ships moved between the floating rocks with frightening efficiency. They used controlled explosions to break apart asteroids, then deployed mechanical devices to harvest the pieces. The speed and precision of their work was unlike anything the Council species had ever achieved. "Look how they destroy the asteroids," Dr. Kenth said in horror. "They show no respect for the natural formations. They simply blast them apart without any thought." Admiral Zethkar watched as one of the human ships extended a mechanical arm to grab a large chunk of metal-rich rock. The machine crushed the stone like it was nothing more than dirt. And inside the ship, he could see 2 figures moving around. They wore bulky suits and helmets that hid their faces, making them look even more alien and threatening. "Magnify the view of those creatures," he ordered. The screen zoomed in on the observation windows of the human ships. For the first time, Admiral Zethkar saw a human face clearly. The being inside had pale skin and dark hair. Its eyes faced forward like a predator's, and when it opened its mouth to speak to its companion, sharp white teeth were visible. Jake Morrison adjusted his suit's air supply and looked out at the asteroid field through the observation window of the mining ship Endeavor. He had been working in space for 3 years now, but the sight of all those floating rocks still amazed him. Each one contained metals and minerals that Earth needed for its growing space program. "Lisa, are you getting good readings on that?" "Big one over there," called to Dr. Lisa Rodriguez, who was operating the mineral scanner from the ship's laboratory section. "Yes, it looks perfect. Lots of iron, and some rare elements too." Let's break it up and take it home. Jake smiled and activated the ship's mining laser. The controlled beam cut into the asteroid with surgical precision, splitting it into manageable pieces. This was exactly the kind of work he loved: clean, efficient, and helpful to everyone back on Earth. He had no idea that alien eyes were watching his every move with growing terror. Back on the monitoring station, alien observers saw something completely different. To them, Jake's smile looked like a predator showing its fangs. The mining laser appeared to be some kind of terrible weapon. The efficiency of the human operation seemed like military precision rather than simple industrial work. At contact the Galactic Council immediately, Admiral Zethkar ordered. This is a Code 7 emergency. We have discovered a hostile predator species with advanced technology and weapons capabilities. The message went out across subspace to the council chambers on Nexus Prime, the galaxy's capital world. Within hours, representatives from 12 major civilizations had gathered an emergency session. The great chamber, designed to hold thousands of beings, felt strangely empty, with only the emergency council present. President Bolted of the council rose to address the gathering. The ancient synthetics had led the council for over 3 centuries, their logical nature making them ideal peacekeepers. But even Yultai's mechanical voice carried concern as it spoke. We have received disturbing reports from the Outer Rim. A new species has been discovered. They appear to pose a significant threat to galactic peace and safety. The holographic display in the center of the chamber came to life, showing the same images of Earth and its inhabitants that had terrified the monitoring station crew. Gasps and sounds of fear echoed from representatives of a dozen different species. Commander Voss of the Kraler Military Council stood up, his massive frame towering over the other delegates. The Kraler were the closest thing the galaxy had to warriors, though even they had not fought a real war in thousands of years. These creatures are clearly dangerous, he rumbled in his deep voice. Look at their world. They have poisoned their own atmosphere. They fight constant wars. They build weapons that could destroy planets. We cannot allow them to spread into space. But we know so little about them, protested Dr. Myra of the Peaceful Botanist Guild. Her plant-like body swayed gently as she spoke. Perhaps there is more to them than what we see. Perhaps they can be reasoned with. Admiral Zethkar's image appeared on the communication screen. I have been studying their behavior for several days now. They show no signs of peaceful intentions. Their space operations are conducted with military efficiency. They destroy natural formations without any thought for preservation. Most concerning of all, they appear to be expanding their operations. Our probes have detected more ships being launched from their homeworld. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Species of predators with advanced technology was beginning to explore space. If they followed the same pattern of expansion and conquest that they showed on their own world, they could threaten every peaceful civilization in the galaxy. What do you recommend? President Yultai asked. Immediate quarantine, Commander Voss declared without hesitation. We must contain them in their own system before they can spread. If necessary, we may need to consider more direct action. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably at the implication. The Galactic Council had never destroyed an entire species, but the threat these humans represented seemed to be beyond anything they had ever faced. I propose we classify them as a Class X. Extinction threat, Admiral Zethkar continued. Full military containment protocols should be implemented immediately. We cannot allow these creatures to contaminate the rest of the galaxy with their violence and destructive nature. The vote was quick and unanimous. For the first time in galactic history, an entire species was marked for containment. The humans of Earth had been judged and found guilty of crimes they had never committed and intentions they had never held. As the council session ended and the delegates returned to their homeworlds to prepare their fleets, none of them realized the terrible mistake they had just made. They had looked at humanity through the lens of their own fears and seen monsters where there were only people trying to explore and understand the universe around them. The stage was set for a conflict that would shake the very foundations of galactic civilization, all because 2 very different types of beings had failed to truly see each other. 3 months had passed since the Galactic Council declared humanity a Class X threat. During that time, the aliens continued their secret watching while Earth remained completely unaware of the eyes upon them. The surveillance had only made the Council more convinced that humans were the most dangerous beings they had ever encountered. Captain Ben Taylor stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel, Pioneer, looking out at the star field ahead. Behind him, 2 other ships followed in formation. The starships Horizon and Discovery carried the hopes of all humanity as they made their way toward Proxima Centauri, the nearest star to Earth. This was Project Starry, humanity's first attempt to reach another star system. Ben felt the weight of history on his shoulders. At 35, he was young for such an important mission, but his experience with deep space navigation made him the perfect choice to lead humanity's greatest adventure. The 3 ships carried a total of 150 people, all volunteers who knew they might never see Earth again. Status report, Ben called to his bridge crew. Dr. Amy Foster looked up from her botanical station. The red-haired scientist was responsible for studying any plant life they might find on worlds around Proxima Centauri. Her equipment could analyze soil, atmosphere, water, and any biological materials they discovered. All my equipment is working perfectly, Captain. The bioscanners are ready to start detailed studies as soon as we reach the system. Engineer Carl Stevens nodded from his position at the technical controls. Engines are running smooth. Construction drones are all checked and ready for deployment. We can start building the research station as soon as we find a good location. Communications. Specialist Nina Brooks smiled from her chair near the main screen. I've got clear contact with Earth and both escort ships. Everyone back home is excited to hear what we find out there. Ben smiled back at his crew. These people represented the best of humanity. They were explorers, scientists, and builders, who wanted nothing more than to learn about the universe and expand human knowledge. The mission was peaceful. It's designed to establish humanity's first research outpost beyond the solar system. From their hidden observation posts, the alien watchers saw something completely different. Dr. Thane of the Crystal-based Luminar species floated in his laboratory aboard the cloaked monitoring ship. His body glowed with patterns of light as he studied the data streaming in from dozens of spy probes following the human fleet. Every piece of information confirmed his worst fears about these dangerous creatures. Look at their formation, he told his assistant, a young Aquari technician named Silwi. 3 ships moving in perfect military precision. This is clearly an invasion force, not a peaceful exploration. The crystal being's light patterns shifted to deep red as he analyzed the human's equipment manifests. They carry construction drones that they call builders, but examine their capabilities. These machines can move tons of material, cut through solid rock, and reshape entire landscapes. They are obviously designed for building military fortifications. Sold we. Gills fluttered nervously as she reviewed the data. What about their biological equipment? They have devices for studying plant and animal life. Biological warfare preparation, Dr. Thane replied immediately. They want to understand the life forms on any world they invade so they can create weapons to destroy them. Look at their so-called medical supplies. They carry enough drugs and equipment to affect thousands of beings, clearly designed for chemical and biological attacks. The alien scientist was completely wrong, but his fear made him interpret every human action in the worst possible way. The construction drones were meant to build research stations and living quarters. The biological equipment was for studying and preserving alien life, not destroying it. The medical supplies were to keep the human crew healthy during their long journey. But Dr. Thane saw only threats in everything humans did. Back on Earth, President Helen Garcia stood at the podium in the United Nations building. Representatives from every nation on Earth had gathered to hear her announcement about humanity's future in space. The cameras carried her words to billions of people around the world. My fellow citizens of Earth, she began, today marks a new chapter in human history. As our brave explorers make their way to Proxima Centauri, we must prepare for the challenges and opportunities that space exploration will bring. The president gestured to a display showing organizational charts and mission plans. Therefore, I am announcing the formation of the United Earth Space Command. This new organization will coordinate all of humanity's space exploration efforts, ensure the safety of our astronauts, and prepare us for the day when we might encounter other intelligent life among the stars. The audience erupted in applause. Around the world, people watched with excitement as their leaders talked about humanity's future among the stars. The United Earth Space Command would bring together the best minds from every nation to work toward peaceful exploration and scientific discovery. But the alien listeners monitoring Earth's communications heard something entirely different, Commander. Voss of the Kraler military stood in his war room, surrounded by tactical displays and battle plans. His massive frame towered over his staff officers as he reviewed the human transmission they had just intercepted. "Space Command," he growled, his voice echoing off the metal walls. "They are not even trying to hide their military intentions. This confirms everything we suspected about their aggressive nature." His aide, a nervous Velthani officer named Kickstel, pointed at the translation display. "Sir, they mention encountering other intelligent life. They are planning to make contact with other species." "Exactly," Commander Voss slammed his fist. "On the tactical table, they are preparing for conquest. This Space Command is obviously their military organization for galactic invasion. They speak of safety and coordination, but these are clearly military terms." The Kraler commander began issuing orders to his fleet. Doubled the surveillance ships watching their system. "I want to know every move they make. Alert all Council military forces. These humans are more dangerous than we thought." Meanwhile, the human exploration fleet continued its peaceful journey toward Proxima Centauri, completely unaware that they were being watched and judged. The crew spent their time conducting scientific experiments, maintaining their equipment, and dreaming about the discoveries they would make. Dr. Amy Foster worked in her laboratory, carefully tending to small plants she had brought from Earth. She hoped to test how Earth plants would grow in alien soil, and whether they could help create sustainable colonies on other worlds. Her work was dedicated to preserving and spreading life throughout the galaxy. The alien observers watching her saw something sinister. They believed she was developing biological weapons that would contaminate alien worlds and destroy native life forms. Her gentle care of the plants looked like a scientist perfecting deadly organisms. Engineer Carl Stevens ran daily tests on the construction drones, making sure they would work perfectly when the fleet reached its destination. He dreamed of building humanity's first interstellar research station, a place where scientists could study alien worlds and perhaps make contact with other intelligent beings. His drones were programmed to work carefully around any life forms they encountered, preserving rather than destroying. The aliens watching him believed he was preparing invasion equipment. They saw his drones as military engineering units designed to build weapons installations and destroy anything that stood in their way. Communications specialist Nina Brooks monitored radio signals from Earth, maintaining contact with home and keeping detailed records of the mission for future generations. She often played music during the long, quiet hours of deep space travel. Her favorites were classical pieces and folk songs from around the world, beautiful expressions of human culture and emotion. The alien listeners found her music disturbing and threatening. They interpreted the rhythmic patterns as some form of psychological conditioning, designed to prepare human warriors for battle. The emotional content of the song sounded like war chants to beings who had never known predator instincts. Every innocent human action was twisted by alien fears into evidence of humanity's violent nature. The peaceful exploration mission became an invasion fleet. Scientific equipment became biological weapons. Construction tools became military hardware. Even human music became a tool of war. Dr. Thane compiled his observations into a comprehensive report for the Galactic Council. His crystal form glowed with urgent patterns as he transmitted his findings across the galaxy. "The human threat is worse than we initially believed," his report concluded. "They are preparing for systematic galactic conquest. Their Space Command military organization is already forming. Their invasion fleet is approaching the nearest star system to their homeworld, clearly planning to establish their first military outpost beyond their solar system. I recommend immediate military intervention before they can complete their expansion." The report reached the council chambers within hours. Emergency sessions were called on every major world. Military commanders, who had not seen real action in millennia, began dusting off ancient war plans and preparing their fleets for combat. The Galactic Council had made its decision. After weeks of debate and growing fear, they voted to send the largest military fleet in galactic history to contain the human threat. Commander Voss stood on the bridge of his flagship, the massive warship Defender of Peace, watching as over 300 ships from 12 different species formed up around him. The fleet was enormous. Krayler battleships bristled with weapons that had not been fired in anger for thousands of years. Velthani scout ships darted between the larger vessels like nervous insects. Aquari support vessels carried medical supplies and repair equipment. Even the peaceful Luminar had contributed their most advanced ships, loaded with defensive shields and communication equipment. "All ships report ready for hyperspace jump," announced his communications officer, a young Krayler named Vek Var, commander. Voss looked out at the stars and felt the weight of history on his shoulders. Never before had the galaxy's peaceful species been forced to take military action. But the human threat was unlike anything they had ever faced. "Destination coordinates locked in, sir," reported the navigation officer. "We will arrive at the edge of the human solar system in 6 hours. Begin jump sequence," Voss ordered. "Today, we protect the galaxy from its greatest threat." The fleet vanished into hyperspace, leaving empty space where moments before the largest armada in galactic history had been assembled. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Patricia Kim was working the night shift at the Deep Space Monitoring Array. The massive radio telescopes pointed out into the darkness, listening for any signals from the cosmos. Patricia had been searching for signs of alien life for over 10 years, but had never found anything more interesting than distant star radiation. Tonight was different. Her computer screens began showing readings she had never seen before. Energy. Signatures unlike anything in Earth's databases were approaching the solar system at incredible speeds. The patterns were clearly artificial, definitely created by intelligent beings. Patricia's heart raced as she ran the data through every analysis program she had. The results were clear. These were spacecraft, lots of them, coming toward Earth from deep space. "This is it," she whispered to herself. "First contact." She immediately called Admiral Robert Shaw, commander of Earth's small space fleet. Had been preparing for this moment his entire career, hoping that someday humanity would meet other intelligent species among the stars. "Admiral, this is Dr. Kim at the monitoring station. You need to see this data right away. We have visitors." "Come in." Within hours, Admiral Shaw had mobilized every spacecraft Earth could send into space. The fleet was tiny compared to what was approaching. Only 12 ships in total, but they represented humanity's best efforts at space technology. The flagship was the exploration vessel Unity, designed for peaceful contact and scientific cooperation. Captain Steve Johnson stood on Unity's bridge as the human fleet took position near Jupiter. His ship carried Earth's most experienced diplomats, scientists, and linguists. They had practiced first contact procedures for years, dreaming of the day they would meet alien civilizations. "Are the gifts ready?" Captain Johnson asked his cultural specialist, Dr. Maria Santos. "Yes, sir. We have music recordings from every human culture, mathematical proofs showing our scientific understanding, artwork from around the world, and messages of peace from children in every major language. Everything we need to show these visitors? That humanity is ready to join the galactic community." The human fleet waited with excitement and hope. This was the moment humanity had dreamed about since they first looked up at the stars. They were about to meet their neighbors in the vast universe. The alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Commander Voss studied his tactical displays with satisfaction. Humans had detected their approach and sent out their own ships to meet them. Just as he had expected, the human response was immediate and military in nature. "Sir, the human vessels are approaching our position," reported his sensor officer. 12 ships in standard military formation. Voss nodded grimly. "As we predicted, they are not even trying to appear peaceful. Deploy the fleet in defensive positions and charge all weapons. If they attempt to attack, we will be ready." The two fleets met in the space between Mars and Jupiter. To the humans, this was the most important moment in their species' history. To the aliens, it was a dangerous confrontation with galactic destroyers. Captain Johnson activated Unity's communication systems and began broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is Captain Steve Johnson of the Earth vessel Unity. We represent the people of Earth, and we come in peace. We are honored to meet you and hope to begin friendly relations between our species." Along with his words, the human ship began transmitting Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, one of humanity's greatest musical achievements. The beautiful, complex melodies filled space around both fleets. On the alien flagship, the communications officer, Vekvar, looked confused as he analyzed the human transmission. "Sir, they are sending some kind of audio signal, along with their words. The patterns are very complex and unlike anything in our databases." Commander Voss studied the sound waves on his display screen. The patterns were indeed complex, with mathematical relationships and emotional frequencies that seemed designed to affect the listener's mental state. His fear of humans made him see danger where there was only beauty. "It's a sonic weapon," he declared. "They are trying to use sound to attack our minds. All ships raise audio shields immediately." Alien fleet's defensive systems activated, blocking out the music that the humans had sent as a gift of friendship. Captain Johnson watched his sensors as the alien ships raised their shields and powered up their weapons. He couldn't understand why the visitors seemed hostile. Earth's transmissions had been completely peaceful. "Sir, they're not responding to our peace messages," reported his communications officer, Lieutenant Karen White. "Their weapons are charging and they seem to be preparing for combat." "Maybe they don't understand our language," suggested Dr. Santos. "Let me try launching a probe with our cultural gifts. Physical objects might communicate better than radio." "Signals," Captain Johnson agreed, and Unity launched a small probe toward the alien fleet. The probe was filled with examples of human art, music, literature, and scientific knowledge. It was designed to show aliens everything beautiful and peaceful about human civilization. But to Commander Voss, the approaching probe looked like something entirely different. "Incoming projectile," shouted his weapons officer. Small, fast-moving object approaching from the human flagship. Voss watched the probe on his tactical screen. It was moving directly toward his ship with obvious hostile intent. The humans had tried to weaken his crew with sonic weapons, and now they were launching physical attacks. "All ships, prepare to defend yourselves," he ordered. "Fire warning shots to drive off that attack probe." The alien fleet opened fire with energy weapons, trying to destroy the human probe before it could reach them.
Ow.
The bright beams lit up space as they struck the small spacecraft, vaporizing it instantly. On Unity's bridge, Captain Johnson watched in horror as the aliens destroyed his peaceful gift. The probe had contained messages from Earth's children, artwork from human museums, and recordings of humanity's greatest music. All of it was gone in a flash of alien weapons fire. "Sir, they destroyed our peace offering," Dr. Santos said quietly. "I don't understand. We sent them everything beautiful about our civilization." "Maybe they see us as a threat," Captain Johnson replied sadly. "But we have to keep trying. Send another message. Tell them we don't want to fight." But the damage was already done. Both sides had misunderstood each other completely. The humans thought the aliens were hostile invaders. Aliens thought the humans were dangerous attackers. Lieutenant Karen White looked up from her communication station with worry in her eyes. "Captain, I'm picking up more alien ships dropping out of hyperspace. Lots more. This fleet is enormous." Captain? Earth's tiny fleet was completely outnumbered. But more concerning was what this meant for humanity's hopes of peaceful contact. "All ships, maintain defensive positions, but do not fire unless fired upon," he ordered. "We're not starting a war with our first alien visitors." Commander Voss watched as more council ships arrived to support his fleet. The humans were clearly outnumbered now, but they showed no signs of retreating. Their ships held their positions. With what looked like military discipline, "Sir, should we demand their surrender?" asked Thekvar. Not yet, Voss replied. Let them make the first aggressive move. Then we will have justification for whatever action we need to take. Both fleets faced each other in tense silence. The humans waited hopefully for some sign that peaceful communication was possible. The aliens waited fearfully for the human attack. They were sure would come. Dr. Patricia Kim watched the confrontation from Earth through her telescopes. The energy signatures she was detecting showed that both fleets had powered weapons and raised shields. What should have been humanity's greatest celebration was turning into its most dangerous moment. Please, she whispered to the stars, let someone find a way to talk instead of fight. The war began by accident. A nervous Velthani gunner on one of the alien ships saw a human maintenance drone floating near his vessel and mistook it for a weapon. His shot vaporized the small robot instantly. The humans, thinking they were under attack, fired back to defend themselves. Within minutes, the space around Jupiter erupted in weapons fire as centuries of galactic peace shattered in bright flashes of energy. Captain Steve? Johnson gripped his command chair as Unity shook under alien weapon strikes. Around him his bridge. Crew worked frantically to keep the ship operational while returning fire. This was not the first contact he had dreamed of during his years of training. Shields down to 60%, called out his engineering officer, Lieutenant Tom Bradley. Hull damage on decks 4 and 7. We're taking a beating, Captain. Johnson watched his tactical display as alien ships swarmed around the tiny human fleet. Earth's 12 vessels were fighting bravely, but they were vastly outnumbered. The aliens had hundreds of ships, each one more advanced than anything humanity had ever built. Get me a channel to Admiral Shaw, Johnson ordered. We need to let Earth know what's happening out here. The communication link crackled with static as it connected to Earth's command center. Admiral Shaw's voice came through clearly despite the interference from weapons fire all around them. Captain, what's your status? We're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Sir, we're under attack. The aliens opened fire without warning. Tried to communicate peacefully, but they destroyed our cultural probe and started shooting. We're fighting back, but we're badly outnumbered. On Earth, Admiral Shaw felt his heart sink. Humanity's first contact with alien life had become a war. He looked at the tactical displays showing alien ships spreading throughout the solar system. Some were heading toward Earth itself. All ships fall back to defensive positions around Earth, Shaw ordered. We need to protect the homeworld. But the fighting was spreading faster than anyone could control. Human ships and alien vessels clashed near Mars, in the asteroid belt, and around the moons of Jupiter. Both sides were learning to fight an enemy they had never faced before. Commander Voss stood on his flagship's bridge, watching the battle unfold around him. Humans were fighting better than he had expected. Their ships were smaller and less advanced, but they moved with surprising speed and coordination. Worst of all, they seemed to have no fear of death. Sir, the human vessels are not retreating, reported his tactical officer. Even their damaged ships continue to fight. This is beyond anything we predicted. Voss nodded grimly. This was exactly why the humans were so dangerous. Any civilized species would have surrendered by now when facing such overwhelming odds. But these predators kept fighting, no matter how hopeless their situation became. Focus fire on their command ship, he ordered. If we can eliminate their leadership, perhaps the others will see reason. But Voss did not understand human nature. When Unity took critical damage and Captain Johnson was forced to abandon ship, the remaining human vessels did not surrender. Instead, they fought even harder, driven by anger at the loss of their leader and determination to protect Earth. The battles raged for 3 days. Both sides learned bitter lessons about their enemies. The aliens discovered that humans were incredibly resourceful in combat, using tactics and strategies that no peaceful species would ever consider. The humans learned that they were facing an enemy with technology far beyond their own, but something unexpected began to happen as the fighting continued. Some beings on both sides started to question what they were seeing. Dr. Emma Watson sat in her laboratory on the moon, studying wreckage from alien ships that had been shot down in the early battles. As Earth's leading expert on alien psychology, she had been asked to analyze everything the military could recover from the enemy vessels. What she found confused her. The alien technology was clearly advanced, but it was not designed for war. Their weapons were obviously old, probably not used for centuries. Their ship designs focused on exploration and peaceful cooperation, not military conquest. "This doesn't make sense," she told her assistant, Dr. Mark Chen, as they examined a piece of alien computer equipment. "If these beings wanted to conquer us, why are their ships so poorly equipped for combat? Why do their computers contain databases about art, science, and philosophy instead of military information?" Dr. Chen looked up from the alien device he was studying. "Maybe they're not the aggressive conquerors we thought they were. Maybe something else is going on here." Emma began to analyze the alien communication intercepts that Earth's intelligence services had collected. The more she studied their language patterns and emotional indicators, the more convinced she became that something was terribly wrong. On the alien side, a similar discovery was taking place. Chiron of the empathic Moran species worked as a junior analyst on one of the Council's surveillance ships. His job was to study human behavior and communication patterns to help predict their military strategies. But the more Chiron studied the humans, the more confused he became. He was naturally sensitive to the emotions of other beings, and what he sensed from the human communications did not match what his superiors believed about them. "Their emotional patterns are all wrong," he told his supervisor, Commander Yexta. "The humans sound confused and sad, not aggressive and bloodthirsty. When their ships are destroyed, their communications show grief for their lost companions, not anger at military defeats." Commander Yexta was an older Moran who had served in the Council for many years. She had accepted the official reports about human nature without question. But Chiron's observations made her pause. "Show me the specific communications you're referring to," she ordered. Chiron brought up recordings of human transmissions from the battles. One showed a human captain crying as he reported the loss of his ship and crew. Another was a message from Earth expressing sadness for both human and alien casualties. Most surprising of all was a transmission from a human medical ship asking if they could help treat wounded aliens. "This message came from a ship called Mercy," Chiron explained. "It was heading toward one of our damaged vessels when our fighters drove it away." The humans were offering medical assistance to their enemies. Commander Yexta felt something she had not experienced in years: doubt. "Perhaps there is more to this situation than we understand," she said quietly. The turning point came during the 4th day of fighting. A rogue asteroid, knocked loose by weapons fire from one of the early battles, was drifting toward Deep Space Station Omega-7, the alien command post. The massive rock would destroy the station and kill thousands of alien observers if it struck. Captain Ryan Cooper commanded the human medical vessel, Mercy. His ship was equipped with emergency equipment and staffed by Dr. Angela Martinez and her team of doctors and nurses. They had been trying to rescue wounded humans from damaged ships when their sensors detected the asteroid threat. "Captain, that alien station is in serious danger," reported his navigation officer, Lieutenant Sarah Kim. "The asteroid will hit them in less than 2 hours. Their ships are too damaged from the fighting to move the station out of the way." Captain Cooper studied his tactical display. The alien station had been directing attacks against human ships for days. It would have been logical to let the asteroid destroy it and remove a major threat to Earth's forces. But Cooper was a doctor before he was a soldier. His ship existed to save lives, not take them. "Plot an intercept course for that asteroid," he ordered. "We're going to break it up before it hits the station." "Sir, that's an enemy installation," Lieutenant Kim pointed out. "They've been trying to kill us for 4 days. They're still living beings," Cooper replied firmly, "and we're still doctors." Set course for the asteroid. The Mercy raced toward the incoming rock, using its medical lasers and emergency tools to break apart the asteroid before it could strike the alien station. It was dangerous work, and the ship took damage from flying debris, but they succeeded in destroying the threat. On Deep Space Station Omega-7, Admiral Zethkar watched in amazement as the human medical ship saved his station and everyone aboard. The humans had risked their own lives to protect their enemies. Why would they do this? He asked his staff. "We've been fighting them for days. They should want us destroyed." His communications officer, Bluanth, looked up from her console. with confusion in her large eyes. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human medical ship. They're asking if we need medical assistance for any wounded personnel." The Admiral stared at the display screen showing the human ship. These were supposed to be the galaxy's most frightening predators, but they had just saved alien lives and were offering to treat alien wounded, for the first time since the crisis began. Admiral Zethkar began to wonder if the Council had made a terrible mistake. Dr. Emma Watson received the reports about the asteroid incident within hours. When she learned that human medical personnel had saved an alien station and offered to treat enemy wounded, she knew she had found the key to understanding what was really happening. "The aliens are afraid of us," she told Admiral Shaw during an emergency briefing. "Everything they've done makes sense if you assume they see us as a threat that must be stopped." The war might have continued for years, if not for what happened on the 7th day of fighting. A massive solar flare erupted from the sun, sending waves of deadly radiation toward both the human and alien fleets. The energy storm would kill everyone in the area unless they worked together to survive. Captain Dana White commanded the human destroyer Phoenix when the solar flare struck. Her ship's radiation shields were damaged from days of combat, and her crew was in serious danger. Around her, both human and alien vessels found themselves facing the same deadly threat. "Captain, our shields are failing," reported her chief engineer, Lieutenant Bobby Clark. "We need to get behind something that can block the radiation, or we're all going to die." Dana looked at her tactical display and saw that several alien ships were in the same desperate situation. One massive alien vessel, badly damaged from the fighting, was drifting helplessly as radiation poured through its broken hull. "Contact that alien ship," she ordered her communications officer. "See if we can help each other." The response came immediately. The alien captain, a Krayler named Subcommander Relka, was facing the same crisis. His shields were down, his engines were failing, and his crew was being slowly killed by radiation poisoning. "Human vessel, this is Subcommander Relka. Our two ships cannot survive this alone, but together we might be able to create a combined shield barrier." Within minutes, the Phoenix and the alien warship were working side by side. Their engineers shared technical information and coordinated their remaining power systems. Dana watched in amazement as human and alien crew members worked together over communication links, solving problems that neither side could handle alone. "It's working," Lieutenant Clark reported with excitement. "Their shield technology is different from ours, but when we combine them, they're strong enough to protect both ships." The cooperation spread quickly as other vessels in the area faced the same radiation crisis. Human ships shared their medical supplies with aliens suffering from radiation sickness. Alien vessels used their superior shields to protect damaged human craft. The deadly solar storm forced both sides to remember that they were all living beings trying to survive in the harsh environment of space. Dr. Kim Patterson, Earth's best linguist, was aboard the research vessel Discovery when the crisis began. As human and alien crews worked together, she found herself in direct communication with Chiron, the empathic Moran analyst who had been questioning the war from the beginning. "Your people are not what we expected," Chiron told her through the translation system they had quickly developed. "We thought you were violent predators who wanted to destroy all other life." Kim felt a wave of sadness as she realized how badly the two species had misunderstood each other. "We thought you were hostile invaders coming to conquer our world. We were so excited to meet you, and then you started shooting at our peaceful gifts." "Peaceful gifts?" Chiron's voice showed confusion. "Our leader said your probe was a weapon. Contained our music, our art, messages from our children. Everything beautiful about our species. We wanted to show you who we really are." For the first time since the crisis began, two intelligent beings from different worlds truly understood each other. Kim and Chiron spent hours sharing information about their species while their ships worked together to survive the radiation storm. "Your people evolved from creatures that hunted for food," Chiron explained. "Ours evolved from creatures that were hunted. When we saw your forward-facing eyes and sharp teeth, we became afraid. But we've learned to control those instincts," Kim replied. "Yes, we can be violent when we need to protect ourselves or our loved ones. but we prefer to create, to explore, to learn. That's why we came to space, to find new friends among the stars. As the solar storm finally passed, both fleets found themselves changed by the experience. They had seen their enemies risk their lives to save them. They had worked together to solve problems that neither could handle alone. Most importantly, they had begun to truly communicate. Admiral Zethkar stood on his command bridge, looking at the human ships that had saved his fleet from the radiation storm. For days, he had seen these beings as monsters. Now he realized they were just people, trying to survive and explore the universe like everyone else. "Open a channel to all ships," he ordered his communications officer, human and alien vessels alike. The main screen activated, showing Admiral Zethkar's image to crews throughout both fleets. His 6 legs trembled slightly as he prepared to speak words that would change galactic history. "This is Admiral Zethkar of the Galactic Council Fleet. I am speaking to all vessels, human and alien. We have made a terrible mistake. The war between our peoples began because of fear and misunderstanding, not because of any real threat. The humans have shown us kindness and courage even while we fought against them. It is time for this conflict to end." On Earth, President Helen Garcia received the Admiral's message with relief and hope. She had been preparing for the worst, knowing that humanity's small fleet could not win against the massive alien armada. But now, there was a chance for peace. Captain Julie Anderson of the diplomatic ship Harmony was selected to be humanity's first official ambassador to the aliens. She was a former military officer who had become a specialist in peaceful conflict resolution. Her job was to help both sides understand each other and prevent future wars. The first formal meeting took place on a neutral space station constructed quickly by both human and alien engineers working together. Captain Anderson entered the meeting room wearing Earth's best diplomatic uniform, carrying gifts from every nation on her homeworld. Across the table sat representatives from 12 alien species. Admiral Zethkar led the delegation, along with Commander Voss, Dr. Thane, and Chiron, who had become the aliens' expert on human psychology. "I want to begin by apologizing," Captain Anderson said as the meeting started. "We never meant to frighten you or threaten your peaceful way of life. We came to space hoping to find friends, not to start a war." Admiral Zethkar responded with equal honesty. "The fault is ours as well. We let our fears control our actions. We saw danger where there was only curiosity. Attacked first and asked questions later." Captain Anderson reached into her bag and pulled out a small item that made several aliens step back in alarm. It was a children's toy, a simple wooden carving of a human family holding hands. "This was made by a 7-year-old girl named Lucy from Earth," Anderson explained. "When she heard that we had met aliens, she wanted to send you a gift. She carved this herself to show that human families love each other, just like alien families probably do." The aliens stared at the simple toy in amazement. Dr. Thane, whose crystal body had glowed with fear colors for weeks, slowly began to shine with patterns of wonder and understanding. "A child made this?" he asked. "To give 2 strangers she had never met? Children often understand things better than adults," Anderson replied with a smile. "They see other beings as potential friends, not threats." Over the following days, both sides shared their histories, their cultures, and their dreams for the future. The humans learned that the galaxy was filled with peaceful species who had created a civilization based on cooperation and mutual support. The aliens learned that humanity's warrior heritage was balanced by deep compassion, creativity, and a desire to protect rather than destroy. The breakthrough came when Chiron made an important observation during one of the meetings. I think he said carefully that the galaxy needs both kinds of beings. We prey species are good at cooperation and peaceful development, but we are also sometimes too afraid to take risks or explore dangerous places. Humans, as former predators, are brave enough to go where we cannot, but wise enough to use that courage to protect others rather than harm them. The room fell silent as everyone considered this idea. Then Captain Anderson smiled and nodded. "Maybe that's why we found each other," she said. "The universe brought us together because we complete each other. You have the wisdom of peace, and we have the courage of warriors. Together, we can explore and protect the galaxy better than either of us could alone. The formal peace treaty was signed 3 weeks later. But more than just ending the war, it established the foundation for a new kind of galactic civilization. Humans would serve as the explorers and protectors, investigating dangerous phenomena and defending peaceful worlds from natural disasters. The alien species would provide the wisdom, technology, and cultural knowledge needed to build a better future for everyone. The first joint human-alien space station was built in orbit around Earth, with facilities for beings from 13 different species. Research teams worked together on projects that benefited all civilizations. Human children played games with young aliens, learning that differences in appearance meant nothing compared to similarities in curiosity and kindness. Captain Julie Anderson became the first human ambassador to the Galactic Council, working from an office that looked out at the stars. Every day, she remembered how close both species had come to destroying each other because of fear and misunderstanding. The galaxy's most frightening species had turned out to be exactly what the galaxy needed most. Not monsters, but guardians. Not destroyers, but protectors. Not enemies, but the best friends the peaceful species had ever found.